The massive alien warship hung in Earth's orbit like a dark storm cloud, its metallic hull reflecting the distant sunlight. Inside the UN Emergency Council chamber, screens displayed the vessel's imposing form as military leaders from around the world gathered to address the crisis. Admiral Vale's holographic form materialized in the center of the chamber, towering over the assembled humans. His species resembled a cross between an insect and a reptile, with compound eyes that glowed an eerie green and armored plates covering his torso. Humans, Vale's translated voice boomed through the speakers. Your planet's resistance is pointless. We have studied your weapons, your defenses, and your military capabilities. You cannot hope to match our technological superiority. Surrender now, and we may show mercy. The council members exchanged worried glances. General Thompson, Earth's senior military commander, stepped forward. We need time to discuss your demands, he stated firmly, though his wrinkled face betrayed concern. You have one Earth rotation, Vale replied. After that, we will demonstrate our power. The hologram flickered and vanished, leaving the chamber in tense silence. In the back of the room, Lieutenant James watched the exchange while absently scratching behind the ears of his Belgian Malinois, Rex. The dog sat perfectly still, alert and watching, as he'd been trained to do. Despite the chaos unfolding around them, Rex remained focused solely on James, waiting for commands. They're bluffing, James spoke up, drawing surprised looks from the council members. Their ship's weapon systems aren't powered up. Rex can sense their anxiety. They're not as confident as they want us to believe. General Thompson turned to him with interest. Explain, Lieutenant. James stepped forward, Rex moving smoothly beside him. Sir, military working dogs can detect subtle changes in body language and pheromones, even through video feeds. Rex has been trained to alert to deception. During the alien commander's speech, he gave several subtle indicators that Admiral Vale was not being entirely truthful. The council chamber erupted in murmurs. One of the scientists spoke up. That's impossible. The alien physiology is completely different from humans. How could a dog read their intentions? James smiled slightly. Dogs have been reading body language and detecting threats for thousands of years, across countless species. They understand universal signs of aggression and fear. Rex here has been specifically trained for xenolinguistic interpretation. As if to emphasize the point, Rex's ears perked forward, and he gave a low whine, looking at the spot where Vale's hologram had stood. There's more, James continued. Our long-range scans show their fleet is spread thin. They don't have the numbers they want us to think they do. They're trying to intimidate us into surrendering because they know a direct confrontation would be costly. General Thompson studied Rex thoughtfully. A military working dog that can read alien body language. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it. He turned to the council. Ladies and gentlemen, I suggest we use this to our advantage. If they're bluffing, we need to call that bluff. The council chamber filled with discussion as military strategists began forming plans. James remained quiet, continuing to pet Rex as the dog maintained his watchful pose. Years of training and the unbreakable bond between handler and dog had prepared them for many situations, but first contact with hostile aliens hadn't been in the manual. Still, James trusted Rex's instincts. The dog had never been wrong about a threat assessment, and his unusual talent for reading non-human behavior had made him invaluable in diplomatic situations. Now those skills might help save Earth. As the council debated strategy, James noticed Rex's attention shift to the main screen, where Vale's ship still loomed. The dog's ears flattened slightly, and his tail gave a single, slow wag, a sign he detected something interesting, but not immediately threatening. "What do you see, boy?" James whispered, following Rex's gaze. The alien vessel's design was unlike anything humans had encountered, but something about its positioning nagged at him. It was maintaining a distance just outside Earth's defensive range, but not so far that it couldn't strike quickly. Classic predator behavior, James realized. And if there was one thing Rex understood, it was predators. The council's voices faded into background noise as James studied the ship, his mind already forming ideas. Whatever came next, he knew that humanity's best friend might turn out to be their best hope for survival. The alien commander's hologram flickered back to life in the UN chamber exactly 24 hours later. Admiral Vale's compound eyes swept across the assembled humans with what appeared to be amusement. "Have you reached your decision?" Vale's translated voice carried a hint of mockery. "Will you surrender peacefully, or must we demonstrate our superiority?" General Thompson stepped forward, hands clasped behind his back. "We reject your demand for surrender," he stated firmly. "Earth will not bow to threats." Vale's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. "Then perhaps we should settle this in a way your primitive species can understand." The hologram shifted, displaying a massive creature that made several council members gasp. "This is our champion, bred for combat and victory. 12 feet of pure killing perfection," Vale announced proudly. "We propose a challenge. 1 warrior against 1 warrior. If your champion wins, we will leave your system. If our champion wins, Earth surrenders without further bloodshed." The creature in the hologram was terrifying. A combination of muscle, armor, and deadly natural weapons. Its 6 limbs ended in razor-sharp claws, and its elongated head featured multiple rows of serrated teeth. From his position near the back, Lieutenant James felt Rex stiffen beside him. The dog's ears were forward, head tilted slightly as he studied the holographic beast. James recognized the posture. Rex wasn't afraid. He was analyzing a potential opponent. "You have 6 hours to choose your champion," Vale continued. "Choose wisely. Our warrior has never been defeated in combat." As the hologram faded, chaos erupted in the chamber. Military leaders argued about sending their best special forces operators, while others suggested using advanced combat robots or experimental weapons. James watched Rex's continued interest in where the alien champion's image had been. An idea formed in his mind. Crazy, perhaps, but based on everything he knew about his partner's capabilities. "Sir," he spoke up, his voice cutting through the argument. "I have a suggestion." General Thompson turned. "Lieutenant, send Rex." The chamber fell silent before erupting in protests. "A dog. Against that monster. This isn't time for jokes, Lieutenant. We need a real warrior." James raised his hand for silence. "Rex isn't just any dog. He's a 4th-generation enhanced military working dog, bred and trained for combat situations. His reaction speed is 5 times faster than a human's. His bite force is strong enough to crush steel. Most importantly, he thinks tactically." To demonstrate, James gave a hand signal. Rex immediately moved to a defensive position, body low, ready to react to any threat. Another signal, and the dog executed a complex series of movements that demonstrated his agility and speed. "Their champion is big, strong, and probably hasn't faced anything like Rex," James continued. "They're expecting us to send something that matches their warrior in size and strength. A small, fast, intelligent opponent will throw them off balance." General Thompson stroked his chin thoughtfully. "The lieutenant has a point. Their champion is built for head-on combat. A radically different approach might be our best strategy." "But it's still just a dog," one of the council members protested. James smiled slightly. "Rex once took down 3 armed insurgents in under 10 seconds. He's disarmed bombs, rescued hostages, and completed missions that would be impossible for human operators. More importantly, he can think and adapt in combat situations." As if to emphasize the point, Rex gave a soft woof and sat at attention, his intelligent eyes fixed on the general. Thompson walked over and knelt before Rex, studying him carefully. The dog held his gaze calmly, showing neither aggression nor submission, just quiet confidence. "The aliens expect us to match force with force," Thompson said slowly. "They don't understand that humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to form partnerships, especially with dogs. He stood and faced the council. "I support Lieutenant James's proposal." The council members exchanged uncertain looks, but as they watched Rex's disciplined behavior and saw the certainty in James's eyes, their doubts began to fade. "Very well," the council president finally said. "We'll inform Admiral Vale of our choice. Lieutenant, prepare your partner. The fate of Earth may rest on his shoulders." James knelt beside Rex, scratching his favorite spot behind the ears. "Ready to save the world, boy." Rex's tail wagged once, confidently, as his eyes remained fixed on the spot where the alien champion's image had been. The hunt was on. Admiral Vale's response to Earth's chosen champion was a mixture of confusion and outrage. His holographic form trembled as he processed the information. "You dare mock us," he hissed through the translator. "We offer honorable combat, and you respond by sending a small furry creature." General Thompson maintained his composure. "We've selected our champion according to your terms, unless you're withdrawing from your own challenge." In the preparation area below the UN building, Lieutenant James was getting Rex ready for the upcoming battle. He checked the specialized lightweight armor that covered the dog's vital areas, advanced materials that offered protection without restricting movement. "They're underestimating you, buddy," James murmured as he adjusted the straps. "That's exactly what we want." Rex stood perfectly still during the preparations, his attention focused on a video screen showing the alien champion's training footage. The massive creature was demolishing concrete barriers and metal obstacles in some sort of alien training facility. Rex watched with his head slightly tilted, analyzing every movement. A young technician approached with scanning equipment. "Sir, we need to run some final checks on Rex's vitals and enhancement systems." James nodded. The enhancements were mostly focused on Rex's natural abilities, improved cooling systems in his armor to prevent overheating, reinforced padding for his joints, and a specialized comm system that would allow James to guide him during the fight. As the technician worked, James's mind drifted to their years of training together. Rex had been part of an experimental program combining advanced military working dog training with tactical combat intelligence. The result was a canine warrior who could think and adapt in complex battle situations. "Lieutenant," General Thompson's voice came from behind him. "The aliens have agreed to our terms, but they're insisting on some unusual conditions." James turned. "What kind of conditions, sir?" "They want the battle to take place in their ship's combat chamber. They're sending transport for you and Rex in 1 hour." Rex's ears perked up at this news, but he remained steady as the technician finished her scans. "All systems are optimal," she reported. "His vitals are calm. Remarkable given the circumstances. The neural enhancement link is functioning perfectly. He'll be able to receive your commands even through the alien ship's interference." James knelt beside his partner. "What do you think, Rex? Ready to fight in space?" Rex's tail wagged once, his eyes bright and alert. He'd been trained for all sorts of environments, from desert heat to Arctic cold. Zero gravity wouldn't be much different, thanks to the magnetic systems in his armor. The preparation room buzzed with activity as final checks were made. Weapons specialists examined Rex's armor one last time, ensuring every component was secure. Medical teams stood by with specialized equipment designed for canine physiology. "Remember," James told Rex as they waited, "their champion will be strong, but you're smarter. Use the environment, keep moving, and wait for the right moment." Rex's ears twitched in acknowledgement. Years of working together meant they could communicate with the smallest gestures. In combat situations, this silent understanding often meant the difference between success and failure. A low rumble announced the arrival of the alien transport vessel. Through the viewing windows, James could see its sleek, dark form descending into the designated landing area. General Thompson approached one final time. "The world is watching, Lieutenant. Most of them don't know it's a dog we're sending up there. The broadcast will be live." James smiled slightly. "Then they're in for quite a show, sir." As they prepared to board the transport, Rex's attention was caught by something on the video screen. The alien champion had made a slight misstep during one of its training exercises. Barely noticeable, but Rex's keen eyes had caught it. James saw his partner's subtle shift in posture and knew Rex had spotted a weakness. The transport door opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Two alien guards, looking like smaller versions of their champion, emerged and gestured for James and Rex to enter. "Ready, boy?" James asked quietly. Rex looked up at him, eyes showing the same calm confidence they'd had through countless missions. This was just another job, another challenge to overcome. Together, they stepped into the transport, ready to face whatever waited in the combat chamber above. Earth's fate rested on four paws and an unshakable bond between human and dog. The alien combat chamber was a vast circular arena aboard their flagship, surrounded by transparent viewing panels that showed the Earth floating below. Thousands of alien spectators filled the viewing galleries, their compound eyes fixed on the arena floor. Lieutenant James and Rex stood in their designated entry area, watching as Admiral Vale addressed both the gathered aliens and the billions watching from Earth. "Today, we settle this conflict through ancient combat traditions." Vale's voice boomed through the chamber. "Let the champions come forth." On the opposite side of the arena, massive doors slid open with a hydraulic hiss. The alien champion emerged, even more terrifying in person than in the holograms. Its armored hide gleamed under the chamber's lights, muscles rippling beneath plates of natural armor. The creature stood upright on four of its limbs, using the upper two as massive striking arms. "Behold Krax, undefeated warrior of the stellar dominion," Vale announced proudly. The alien crowds chittered and clicked in approval. James felt Rex shift slightly beside him, the dog's muscles tensing with controlled energy. While the alien audience focused on their champion's dramatic entrance, Rex was already cataloging the environment, noting the slightly textured floor panels, the varying light levels, the acoustic properties of the chamber. And now, Vale's voice carried a note of derision. "Earth's chosen champion may enter." James gave Rex a gentle pat on the head. "Showtime, buddy." Rex trotted out into the arena with perfect military precision, head high, steps measured and confident. The alien audience fell silent, then erupted in what seemed to be their version of laughter. "This," Vale's voice thundered, "this is Earth's mighty warrior, a small furry creature." James remained at the arena's edge, holding Rex's favorite training ball, a special reinforced sphere they used in combat exercises. The ball was more than a toy. It was a focusing point, a reminder of their countless training sessions. The alien champion, Krax, let out a roar that shook the chamber. Rex simply sat down, head tilted slightly, studying his opponent with professional interest. "This is an insult," Vale raged. "You mock our sacred combat traditions." From the Earth observation feed, General Thompson's voice replied calmly, "Our champion meets all specified requirements, unless you're forfeiting." The alien audience's laughter had died down, replaced by confused murmuring. They had expected the humans to send something massive, something that matched their champion's brute force. Instead, they got what appeared to be a simple canine, sitting calmly in the arena. Krax stomped forward, its massive feet leaving slight indentations in the floor panels. Rex's ears twitched at the sound, but he remained perfectly still, waiting for James's command. "Very well," Vale spat. "If Earth chooses to sacrifice its champion so easily, let the combat begin." James stepped back to his designated observation area, but not before making eye contact with Rex one last time. The dog's gaze was steady, focused, ready. The alien champion raised all 6 limbs in what was clearly meant to be an intimidating display, its roar echoing through the chamber again. Rex finally stood, shaking himself slightly as if preparing for a casual training exercise. "Your beast will be destroyed in seconds," Vale announced to the Earth observers. James allowed himself a small smile. They still didn't understand. They saw Rex's size and assumed weakness. They saw his fur and assumed softness. They saw his calm demeanor and assumed fear. What they didn't see was the precisely tuned muscle structure beneath that fur, the enhanced reflexes and tactical processing capabilities, the thousands of hours of training, and most importantly, the intelligence in those alert eyes. The chamber's combat lights pulsed, signaling the match was about to begin. The alien audience leaned forward, expecting a quick and brutal end to this apparently mismatched battle. Rex's ears perked forward, his body shifting into a ready stance so subtle that only James would recognize it. To everyone else, he still looked relaxed, almost casual. The final pulse of light faded, and a deep tone resonated through the chamber. The match was officially starting. Krax charged forward with earth-shaking steps, ready to end this fight in one devastating blow. Rex simply waited, head slightly tilted, watching the approaching behemoth with professional interest. The real show was about to begin. Krax's massive form charged across the arena floor, each step thundering like a small earthquake. The alien audience roared in anticipation of a quick victory. Just as the champion's claws were about to reach Rex, James's voice cut through the chaos with a single command: execute. Rex exploded into motion. One moment he was sitting calmly. The next he was a blur of controlled movement. The dog slipped under Krax's strike with millimeters to spare, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to process and react to the attack in microseconds. The alien champion's momentum carried it forward as Rex circled behind, already analyzing his opponent's movement patterns. Years of tactical training kicked in automatically. Identify weaknesses, control the battlefield, never stay still. What trickery is this? Vale bellowed as his champion spun around, trying to track the seemingly disappearing and reappearing dog. Rex darted between Krax's legs, his movements precise and purposeful. Each step tested the alien's reactions. Each feint revealed another weakness in its defense. The massive creature's attacks became increasingly frustrated, smashing into the arena floor where Rex had been split seconds before. James watched from his position, occasionally giving hand signals that modified Rex's attack pattern. The dog's specialized armor gathered data about the alien's movement speed, strike patterns, and reaction times, feeding it directly to James's tactical display. The small one evades but does not attack. An alien observer shouted. It is merely prolonging its defeat. But James saw what they didn't. Rex wasn't just avoiding attacks. He was conducting a tactical analysis in real time. Each movement revealed more about Krax's limitations. The slight delay in its left rear leg, the blind spot when it raised its upper limbs, the way it overcompensated after missing a strike. Krax's frustration grew. Its attacks became wider, wilder, less controlled. Exactly what Rex had been waiting for. James touched his tactical display, sending a silent command through Rex's neural link. Phase 2. Rex's next movement changed from evasion to engagement. As Krax's claws smashed into the floor again, Rex darted forward, using his smaller size and incredible speed to launch himself at a precise angle. His armored body struck one of Krax's supporting legs at exactly the right point, using the alien's own momentum against it. The massive champion staggered, off balance for just a moment. But a moment was all Rex needed. The dog was already moving again, each strike precisely calculated. He hit pressure points and joint connections that his tactical systems had identified as vulnerabilities. Each impact was amplified by his momentum and enhanced muscle structure, delivering force far beyond what his size would suggest possible. The alien audience fell silent, their earlier mockery forgotten as they watched their champion being systematically dismantled by what they had dismissed as a small furry creature. Krax tried to compensate, but Rex was everywhere and nowhere, striking, moving, redirecting the alien's own strength against it. Years of training in close-quarter combat and target neutralization were on full display. James watched with quiet pride. This wasn't just a fight. It was a demonstration of everything that made Earth's military working dogs special. The intelligence, the precision, the perfect fusion of natural instinct and tactical training. Rex continued his assault, never staying still long enough to be caught, never wasting a single movement. Each attack flowed into the next in a deadly dance that had been perfected through countless training sessions. The alien champion's movements became increasingly desperate. Its superior size and strength meant nothing against an opponent it couldn't hit, couldn't predict, couldn't understand. Finally, Rex saw his opening. As Krax overextended on another wild strike, the dog executed a perfect launching maneuver. He seemed to defy gravity as he shot upward, his enhanced muscles propelling him directly toward a nerve cluster his tactical systems had identified. The impact was precise, powerful, and final. Krax's massive form shuddered, its legs buckling as Rex's strike disrupted its neural pathways exactly as planned. The alien champion crashed to the arena floor, temporarily paralyzed by the precision attack. Rex landed gracefully and returned to a sitting position, as calm as when the match began. The combat chamber fell into absolute silence. Earth's champion had won, and he hadn't even gotten his fur messed up. The silence in the combat chamber shattered as Krax struggled to rise. The alien champion's massive form shook with a combination of rage and disbelief. No opponent had ever humiliated it like this before. With a roar that vibrated through the arena, Krax charged again. But this time its movements were different, more desperate, more primal. The tactical precision it had shown earlier was gone, replaced by pure animal fury. Rex remained sitting, waiting for James's command. The dog's ears twitched slightly, tracking every vibration and sound of his approaching opponent. "Defensive pattern Delta," James called out calmly. Rex sprang into action, just as Krax's claws slashed through the space where he had been. But instead of retreating, the dog moved in closer, weaving between the alien's legs in a complex pattern that looked almost like a dance. Every time Krax tried to strike, Rex was already moving to the next position. The dog's enhanced situational awareness allowed him to predict attacks before they came, making it seem like he could read his opponent's mind. The alien audience watched in stunned silence as their mighty champion was made to look clumsy and slow by what they had dismissed as a simple animal. Some began to notice the intelligence behind Rex's movements. This wasn't just random evasion, but a carefully executed battle plan. James monitored the tactical display showing Rex's vitals and combat data. Everything was perfect. Heart rate steady, muscle response optimal, neural enhancement systems functioning at peak efficiency. Years of training were paying off in this crucial moment. Krax's frustration reached new heights. It began using all 6 limbs in increasingly chaotic attacks, trying to simply overwhelm Rex with brute force. The chamber echoed with the sounds of its claws striking the floor as Rex dodged each blow. "Now, boy, show them what you can do," James said quietly. Rex's next series of movements demonstrated why Earth's military working dogs were considered elite warriors. He launched into a complex attack pattern that targeted multiple weak points in rapid succession. Each strike was precisely calculated to cause maximum impact with minimum energy expenditure. The alien champion stumbled as Rex's attacks disrupted its balance and coordination. The dog moved like a shadow, striking and retreating before Krax could react. The specialized armor enhanced every movement, while the neural link with James allowed for perfect coordination between handler and dog. "Impossible," Vale shouted from his observation platform. No simple beast could fight with such precision. But Rex was proving him wrong with every move. The dog's combat intelligence, honed through countless training sessions and real-world operations, allowed him to adapt and improve his strategy as the fight continued. Krax tried to anticipate Rex's movements, but the dog never used the same pattern twice. Each attack was unique, making it impossible to predict where he would strike next. The alien champion's movements became increasingly sluggish as fatigue set in. Its massive size, once an advantage, now worked against it as Rex continued his relentless assault. James watched with quiet pride as Rex executed a particularly complex maneuver, leaping off a chamber wall to strike at a previously identified weak point in Krax's armor. The impact made the alien champion stagger backward. The end came suddenly. Rex feinted left, causing Krax to commit to a defensive move. But it was a trap. The dog had been setting up this final attack since the beginning of the match. With incredible speed, Rex launched himself upward, his enhanced muscles propelling him toward a specific point on Krax's neck. His jaws clamped down with precisely controlled force, not enough to cause serious injury, but more than sufficient to demonstrate that he could. The alien champion froze, instinctively recognizing the killing position. Rex held the bite for 3 seconds, then released and backed away, returning to his sitting position, as if nothing extraordinary had happened. Krax remained motionless for a long moment, then slowly lowered all 6 limbs in a clear gesture of submission. The combat chamber erupted in a chaos of alien voices as the implications became clear. Earth's small furry creature had not just won. He had dominated their greatest warrior with skill, intelligence, and precision. Rex simply sat, waiting for his next command, his tail wagging slightly as he looked at James. Just another day at work for Earth's finest. The aftermath of the battle brought a profound change to the alien fleet's demeanor. Admiral Vale, his earlier arrogance completely vanished, stood before the Earth's representatives in the command chamber, watching as Rex calmly accepted a drink of water from James's offered bottle. We do not understand," Vale admitted, his translator struggling to convey his bewilderment. "This creature, this dog as you call it, fights with intelligence we thought impossible in a non-sentient being." James knelt beside Rex, checking him over despite knowing the dog had emerged from the battle without a scratch. "Rex isn't just a creature," he explained. "He's a partner. Dogs have been humanity's companions for thousands of years." General Thompson stepped forward, seizing the diplomatic opportunity. "What you witnessed, Admiral, wasn't just physical combat. It was the result of a partnership that goes back to the dawn of human civilization." The alien leaders gathered around, their compound eyes fixed on Rex with new respect. One of their scientists approached cautiously, holding a scanning device. "May I?" the alien asked, gesturing toward Rex. James nodded, and Rex remained perfectly still as the alien scanned him. The scientist's mandibles clicked rapidly as data appeared on their screens. Fascinating. The neural pathways, the enhanced cognitive functions, the physical adaptations, all achieved through selective breeding and training, not artificial manipulation. "And you say this partnership began naturally?" "Around 15,000 years ago," James confirmed. "Dogs chose to join us, and we chose to welcome them. Together, we've achieved things neither species could have done alone." Vale moved closer, studying Rex with what appeared to be genuine curiosity. "Our data suggested Earth's military forces were primitive. We did not account for this kind of alliance." Rex's tail wagged slightly as he maintained his professional demeanor. The dog's calm confidence seemed to impress the aliens even more than his combat prowess had. "Perhaps," Vale continued, "we have been too hasty in our judgment of Earth's capabilities." General Thompson nodded. "We're not as primitive as you thought. Humanity's strength lies not in our individual capabilities, but in our ability to form bonds with each other and with other species." The alien leaders conferred among themselves, their clicking language filling the chamber. Finally, Vale turned back to the Earth representatives. "We propose a new arrangement," he announced. "Not conquest, but alliance. We wish to learn more about this partnership between humans and dogs. Such understanding could benefit both our civilizations." James smiled as Rex sat attentively beside him. "I think that can be arranged, though you might want to start with something simpler than combat training." He pulled out Rex's favorite ball, and the dog's ears perked up immediately. To the alien's apparent amazement, Rex transformed from a precise military weapon into a playful, eager companion as James tossed the ball across the chamber. The dog retrieved it and brought it back, tail wagging happily. "This is the same warrior that defeated our champion," one of the alien leaders asked in disbelief. "This is who he truly is," James explained. "A friend, a partner, and yes, when needed, a warrior. But above all, a good boy." The peace treaty was signed within hours. The alien fleet withdrew to a respectful distance, and arrangements were made for cultural and scientific exchange programs. Special attention was paid to establishing a xenobiology division focused on understanding the human-canine bond. As James and Rex prepared to return to Earth, Admiral Vale approached them one final time. "Your people have taught us a valuable lesson," the alien commander said. "True strength lies not in size or technology, but in the bonds we forge. We thought we were unleashing a beast against a beast. Instead, we witnessed something far more powerful: trust, intelligence, and partnership." Rex looked up at Vale and gave a soft woof that made the alien commander step back in surprise. "He's saying goodbye," James translated with a smile, "and probably suggesting you keep some treats handy for the next time we visit." As their transport descended toward Earth, James scratched behind Rex's ears. "You did good today, buddy. You didn't just win a battle. You helped forge peace between worlds." Rex leaned into the scratch, his mission completed, his duty done. To him, it had all been simple: protect his human, follow his training, and most importantly, make sure everyone got home safely. Just another day in the life of man's best friend, even if that life now included alien diplomacy.